pollution was appeared in the society, so they must be having the solution for not to be have the pollution. And that is the reason, right? If you consider, there was an era where we could not throw away the waste of our houses on the road, right? So today we have a very bad kind of what we can consider a part of life, right? That is what we cannot have the everything to be consumed, right? So in our society we had the animals, right? म्हणजे घरातला बराचसा कचरा थोडक्यात शिळं अन्न असेल किंवा most of the things which we can which are eatable by animals, so that were consumed by animals. Some of the things which can be decomposed, right? तर त्यांना आपण कुजायला टाकायचो, उकंडा म्हणू आपण त्याला, किंवा त्याच्यासाठी सेपरेट. बट नाउ व्हॉट वी आर डुईंग, we are putting everything in a van, right? So that van comes by making siren, or sometimes it is singing by it comes by singing some kind of songs, and we are putting it dry and wet, right? What we are doing. But so that has been changed over the time, which we can consider, right? So anyway, so idea of pollution appeared in the society, right? So obviously these people had a solution for this one, right? So because of that, most of the waste had been reduced. Then there are 4 ashramas. So the earliest reference, see, you will be considering that why we are considering these 4 ashramas, right? So this had been reference of this particular period, right? Latter Vedic period, if you consider, right, which was having the reference. So earliest reference to 4 ashramas. 4 ashramas. Right, so earliest reference to 4 ashramas. So according to the Jabal Upanishad, you will be having. So what these 4 ashramas are? So first one, Brahmacharya. Second one, the Grihastha ashram. Third one is Vanprasthashram, and fourth one is the Sannyasashram, right? So these were there. So these 4 different, right? What you can consider, have everyone got the meaning of ashramas? You can consider stages of life. If someone had difficulty in ashramas, so stages of life, right? So there are 4 stages of life which had been the reference, right? So earliest reference found in reference to ashramas found in, right, Jabala Upanishad, right? Upanishad. So the ashrama systems was formed to attain, right? So this was formed to attain. Why the ashramas formed, right? So formed to attain 4 purusharthas, right? What these 4 purusharthas? Dharma. Second is artha. Third is kam. Fourth one is moksha. Right? So moksha doesn't mean completely become sannyasi, right? If you could live your life around 40-45, then you can try to contribute to the society. Even that is part of moksha, you can consider it, right? So dharma, that is obviously you will be always having in this one. So first one, second one, third one, fourth one, right? So these are the 4 different points which you can always consider. Then during this period, the status of women declined. Status of women declined, right? Then, right, so according to Aitreya Brahmana, according to Aitreya Brahmana, according to Aitreya Brahmana, a daughter, if anybody wants, you can have. Done? Okay, fine. So according to Aitreya, thank you, Shresh, Brahmana, a daughter is the source. Purposefully, I am writing the statement as it is, right? Is the source of misery. So misery, vipatti, durdasha. But a son is the protector of family. हे इतक्या आधीपासून दिले म्हणून आपण पाळा असं अजिबात नाही. इतक्या आधीपासून दिले म्हणून आपण पूर्ण टाळा असा अर्थ घ्या. So son is protector of family. Then in this society there were 3 evils, right? So these 3 evils were liquor, woman, and dice. Right? So though monogamy, right? Though monogamy was ideal, but polygamy was frequent. Polygamy was frequent. Fine. Then women were prohibited. Women were okay. Acha, there is a question, why dice? Liquor, woman, and dice, right? Anyway, you know, nowadays you are playing Ludo, right? But if you start playing Ludo in the morning and if you continue till the whole night, midnight, right? So what would you call it as amusement? No, right? So that had been become about the dice, and that dice must not be only dice, right? सुरुवातीला पत्ते खेळायला शिकलो, ठीक आहे, टाइमपास म्हणून, पण तो टाइमपास कधी व्यसनामध्ये कन्वर्ट होतो, पैसे, that kind of thing. So that had been happened with the dice. Right? So fase. So women were prohibited to attend the political assemblies. Right? So there was Upanishad, right, which indicates Vrihad, Aryanka Upanishad, right? Vrihad Aryanka Upanishad. So according to this, some women had got higher education. Right? So some women had got higher education. So reference is the Vrihadaryanka Upanishad. Right? So there were 16 sanskaras as well. 16 sanskaras. Right? And now you can consider, okay, I will the types of vivaha. Right? There were different types, but I will just consider one type, Anulom Vivaha. Anulom Vivaha, in which there was marriage between the bridegroom from, what is meant by bridegroom and what is meant by bride, from an upper caste and a bride from lower caste. And second one is Pratilom Vivaha. Pratilom Vivaha. So reverse of, I will shortly write, reverse of Anulom. Right, Vivaha. So these are the two things you can always consider. Right. Now comes in religion. How the religion was being followed, or what were the things you can always consider in this case. Right. So you know the earlier divinities were Indra and Agni, so which were relegated into the background. Fine. About background as Prajapati, that is the creator of the universe, later known as Brahma, and Vishnu, patron god of Aryans. Right. Then Rudra, god of animals. Later we started knowing it as Shiv or Mahesh. Right. Shiva or Mahesha. Fine. Then, so this is what we can always consider, right? So earlier divinities were Indra and Agni, which were related into the background, while another gods we can consider Prajapati, called creator of the universe. त्याला आपण पुढे ब्रह्म म्हणायला लागलो. Vishnu, patron god of Aryans. Then Rudra, god of animals. त्याला आपण पुढे शिवा, महेशा म्हणायला लागलो. Right. So these had risen in prominence. Right. So later on, Prajapati became the supreme god. So this is the case you can consider about the religion. Then Pushyana, who protected cattle in the early Vedic period, now became the god of Shudras, Pushyana. Right. So Pushyana, who had protected the cattle in the early Vedic period. So who had become the god of Shudras. नाही, वर्णानुसार पूजा असणं किंवा वर्णानुसार भक्ती असणं तो पण एक भाग होताच. सो बृहद Aryanka Upanishad, according to Bruhad Aryanka Upanishad, right, or Bruhad Aryanka Upanishad was the first work to give the doctrine of transmigration, that is Punarjanma, even and the deeds, right? So Punarjanma and Karma. So it was the doctrine of transmigration, that is from Punarjanma and Karma. And so these are some of the things. Then the early simple ceremonial of Rigvedic period, which gave place to elaborate sacrifices requiring the services as many as different priced, right? But in in the latter Vedas and Brahmanas, the sacrifices came into prominences, right? So these are some of the again points which you can consider as far as the religion are concerned. Fine. So what were the earlier divinities? So as far as background, so Indra and Agni, right? So where earlier divinities. Later on, Prajapati. What is Prajapati? Creator of universe, which is also called Brahma, right? So became a supreme god. Apart from Prajapati, you can have Vishnu, which is a patron of god of Aryans, and Rudra, right, which is god of animals, right? Later we started calling it as Shiva or Mahesha, right? So these are the things you can always consider, right? So here Pushana, right? Who was Pushana? Who protected cattle in transmigration and deeds. म्हणजे काय? Right. So this means karma, and transmigration, punarjanma. Right. So anyway, so this was the Upanishad which was giving the doctrine of transmigration and deeds. Right. So this you can always consider. Fine. So okay. This is okay. If anybody wants, you can. Done. I hope you must have done. Okay, fine. So let's go to the next. Now, how was the economy during the latter Vedic period? Economy. So, land had now become more valuable than cows. Now see how the transformation have arrived. So land had become more valuable than cows. Then agriculture become to replace the rearing of cattle. Right? Agriculture replaced rearing of cattle. गायींचे कळप पाळले जायचे. Now people have doing agriculture. The plow was at times drawn by 24 oxen. 24 बैलांचा नांगर. Right? Then at that time, the rice, barley, beans, sesame, right, and wheat, these were cultivated. Right? Rice, barley, beans, sesame, and wheat were cultivated. The production of goods advanced. Right, production of goods advanced, as indicated by new occupations such as fishermen, washermen, dyers, then doorkeepers and footmen. Right. So these are the things which have emerged in this particular period and which were really contributing to the economy. So indicating the specialization, distinction was drawn between the chariot maker and carpenter. So earlier it was considered both are same, but no, in this period it was clearly distincted that the chariot maker and the carpenter are different. Then the tanner and the hide dresser, right? कातडीचा धंदा करणारा आणि whatever hide dresser. So again, these two have been distincted. Then considerable advance was made in the knowledge of metals. Right. So the mention of tin, silver, iron was made apart from gold as ayas, either copper or iron. Right. So earlier what we have considered ayas means metal. Right. So that was in the Rigvedic period, but now we can have the proper names, right, as silver, iron, gold, right. So these were differed from a general name or the usual name of ayas, calling simply metal. Now they are being called by their name. So the evidence was there regarding organization of merchants, right, into rather started replacing rearing the cattle. Right. So plow, another point, drawn by 24 oxen. these new occupations: fisherman, washerman, dyers, doorkeepers, and footmen. And footmen. There was distinction between some of the distinction between chariot maker and carpenter, chariot maker and carpenter, then tanner and the hide dresser. And hide dresser. Advance in the knowledge, advancement in the knowledge of metals was considerable, or considerable advancement was there. Is of metals. How? The tin, silver, iron, that is where these made apart from the gold and let's say simply the ayas. Right. So there are evidences, right? Evidence was there regarding organization of merchants. Right. So organization of merchants. Organization of merchants. Right. So these are some of the things you can always consider about economy of the latter Vedic period. Okay, done. Now, next to Vedic period, you can consider the next part, that is about Mahajanpad period. Right. See, Vedic period and latter Vedic period. Now you can consider Mahajanpad period. Right. So the next point, right, the separate new point you can consider, and it is nothing but Mahajan Pada. BC to 325 BC. See, day by day we are approaching to the medieval, rather we are going forward, and consecutively we are moving through each of these periods. It is the best way to always learn or to study the history, that you should always be in the conjunction with the first to second or second to the earlier one. Right. So these are the things. Now, Mahajanpad period, 600 BC to 325 BC. You know, there were 16 Mahajanpadas. Right? There were 16 Mahajan Padas, or you can consider it as 16 modern areas. Right? So earlier you were just calling it as three different things, right? As the northern, the central, and then southern India. But now here you will be having 16 different kinds of Mahajan Padas. They have emerged with their capitals, they have emerged with their rulers, they have emerged with their cities of administration, they have emerged with their securities in the form of army, in the form of even navy, right? They have emerged in the form of their own trades, they have emerged with their rules and regulations. Fine. So these are the different points you will be always considering in association, right, or regarded to different Mahajan Padas. Right. So total 16 Mahajan Padas were there. Some of these Mahajan Padas were monarchical. Some of these Mahajan Padas were diplomatic. Democratic, not diplomatic. Some of these Mahajan Padas were democratic. राईट. म्हणजे जिथं काही ठिकाणी राजशाही होती, काही म्हणजे राजघराण्याची सत्ता होती, काही ठिकाणी मात्र डिप्लोमॅटिक. काही ठिकाणी असंही होतं की राजघराण्याची सत्ता होती, परंतु तरीही राजा मात्र सिलेक्ट केला जायचा. राईट. म्हणजे असं नाही की बाप झाला मग त्याचा मुलगाच होणार, मग पुन्हा त्याचा मुलगाच होणार. नो, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन इन दॅट पर्टिक्युलर क्लान. व्हेरी फर्स्ट Mahajan Pada is Anga. Right. The first Mahajan Pada is Anga. So where this Anga is? Right. So today's districts, today's two districts of Bihar called Munger and Bhagalpur. Right. So Anga, whose capital was Champa. Whose capital was Champa. It was also called as Champa Nagari. Right. The capital of Anga was Champa, which was also called as Champa Nagari. So, as I said, what is modern? Right. So, districts of Munger and Bhagalpur in Bihar. Right. Districts of Munger and Bhagalpur in Bihar. So